wish they would be as horrified when elephants maul and maraud people. I find it unfathomable that you'd be horrified by the protection of one's livelihood, rural poor people who have allowed 40% of the country to be set aside for conservation when they defend themselves, or even when, out of a lack of resources, they invite those who are well enough to own arms and hunt for trophies in a controlled, selective manner. Nothing to come close to diminishing the population, because despite the 400 elephants per year quota we are allowed by CITES, we have never come close to that. Well, so why aren't they horrified?
Well, again, critics say that you are not looking at the bigger picture here, that you are not thinking about the survival of this species, which is crucial to the ecosystem, the wider ecology, because elephants are seen as gardeners of the forest.
Yes, and we happen to be the ones who have kept those animals surviving. And those who are supposed to be the paragons of virtue of our gardening entitlements have none. We have the most elephants in the world in the wild. How did that come about? Now, who has greater legitimacy to proclaim capacity to play ruler or decision maker to these species? And listen to me, I mean, it is amazing that when people have in their own backyards allowed for the hunting of species and exportation of trophies, they would turn around and look at ours and say, we couldn't. We have the most elephants.
You know, the former president of Botswana has described the practice as unethical and says that basically this has got to do with corruption right at the top.
The former president is a man on the run from corruption. Why doesn't he come here to a country he led? He knows the judicial system, he knows the processes, and defend himself. I did not accuse him. I did not investigate him. The rule of law is well entrenched and established in this republic. And he cannot be the one saying that when he knows more than anybody else that he peddled a lot of dubious things. And most of all now, untruths.
President, I also want your reaction to politicians from Botswana reportedly threatening to send 10,000 wild elephants to Hyde Park here in London.
I thought I could, credit you with a lot more humor, because my Minister of Environment, Honorable Dumize Nkulu, made that statement in zest. And he did say it was a rhetorical statement when he said 10,000 elephants released in Hyde Park. You know, everybody knows you're not going to be lifting 10,000 elephants to bring there. But what he was trying to
tell us what the point he was trying to make.
The point is, because we live with these elephants as we eke out our living, and you want them not controlled, you must experience the same. Put another way, come over and visit. Come and live with them. Come and live with us. All our critics, even the mover of this bill, I bet you has never set foot in Botswana to fully understand how we live and cherish our elephants.
Why do you think?
And he must thank us.
Why do you think this bill has been put forward and is up for debate?
To be honest with you, I honestly think it's condescending. I think it's really condescending. I think there has been an upsurge and a peddling of untruths about how we truly treat our elephants. A peddling of untruths of how we interact with elephants to have resulted in them being what they are. And a negation of communication about how elephants do harm to the ecosystem. how much elephants do harm to human beings who are poor, who try and eke out a living in rural, dry Botswana.
What do you think you need to do in order to clarify what you're saying are misunderstandings of the issues that you have in Botswana in terms of these elephants?
First of all, it's just basic biology and population dynamics. If a species or even a production line in a factory is unmanaged in its reproduction, they will get to a time where there's oversupply, and therefore there will be a shortage of the resources necessary for its own survival, right? Two is that they will occupy far greater land in mass than they would if they were limited in number. Three, elephants are large, iconic, and can be very dangerous species. And if you looked at the way in which they, when come into conflict with human beings, who suffers and how they suffer, you'd never wish it upon your worst enemy.
So are you saying that hunting is essentially a form of culling?
Well, listen, culling has a connotation of ethical abhorrence associated with it, because it is the indiscriminate elimination of a whole group, mother, father, grandfather, the whole herd. It's not the same with hunting. It's just a lexical difference. But the end, in terms of the
end result, more or less, is it the same?
The end of a shoot is a death. But the difference between culling and shooting or hunting is that you pick which you hunt.
So I just want to get your reaction then. Say this debate, it's a proposed ban. If this ban does go through, your reaction to that?
I'd be abhorred, disappointed, and disturbed by, the rejuvenation of what I perceive as not just condescending and patronizing, but really a resurgence of colonial conquest. It amounts to that. We're a democratic sovereign republic, right? You have stags. Whenever did you have us passing a bill on the importation of stags? Only because we are poor, only because we don't have rich people who can go out there, hunt them, bring them here, only because our economy is so much smaller than yours?
President, I also just want to ask you, I mean, when you see very wealthy people who can afford to go out and hunt, travel to your country, and then take pictures with these dead animals, how do you feel about that?
Well, listen, I'm not the one to moralize about the posing of those persons, and yet again, that presents an opportunity for controlling that too, because some of them can be really ugly, but yet there are some which can be decent, right? And without blood all over the place. And
well, those are the images that are being seen and are horrifying people.
Well, I don't know how old those images are, because things change over time, right? But yet again, I must point out that what we have is controlled hunting. Juxtapose this against the proposition of those who are opposed to what we do. They are proposing photographic tourism. There are some places where photographic tourism just is not viable. But besides that, they never want to see the effects of only photographic tourism, where you have in the background a malnourished, emaciated child with a picture taken from an elephant or buffalo which just ravaged a village, which ravaged a field, which killed a grandmother trying to herd her goats. You don't get that communicated by the very same people. So you get this paradoxical image where you get opulence and ostentatiousness by the rich, opulent, photographic tourists, some of them, I must say, and the poverty, abject, that's right in surrounding that. That's brought about by unwanted, controlled numbers of species.
President Masisi, we're very grateful for your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, but you must come to Botswana and we'll take you on a tour. You see these things.
If someone may ask, what is the agenda behind this banning? If we look at this whole scenario where the president said they have a lot of wild elephants that are living in the wild. 40% of their land is in conservation because of these animals, not only elephants. Not only elephants. And again, most of the elephants, they are roaming out of the conservancy. They are living outside of the conservation because there are a lot. There are a lot and they are terrorizing poor communities. They are terrorizing poor communities. So it's not a nice thing to hear now and then that certain men in a certain village was killed by these elephants. I don't know how the Western country think of this, because the loss of a human being is not that important when it's come to their animals that they claim to love better than the human being. I know for sure that once the bill is passed by the United Kingdom, tourism industry in Botswana and all the neighboring countries, including Namibia, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, they are going to be affected. So it's not only one country that is going to be affected by this ban. So people, they won't come just to hunt and leave their product behind because they have paid for it. So this is one way of how this Western world think of Africa. What are the impact when it's come to this law, if they manage to pass it? And these people, they know it very well that once your country income has decreased, and the people in the country, they will start to look at this leader as incompetent. Because the Western world, they hate the leaders that are there for their people. But if you are a leader that you are just useless, not working for the people, but defending them, so you are the right candidate for that country. But as long as that leader is fighting to uplift the livelihood of their own citizen, then they will create all sort of confusion, all sort of chaos, so that they can manipulate the mind of your people, your citizen, and say, look, this president is not working. So the tourism industry has been affected. People are losing their job. To uplift the livelihood of their own citizen, then they will create all sort of confusion, all sort of chaos, so that they can manipulate the mind of your people, your citizen, and say, look, this president is not working. So the tourism industry has been affected. People are losing their job. And so this is a bad president. This is not the first time they were trying to bring this bill. I think last year it was 2 times, November, and this year again, this time around. So it's just that they are looking for the leaders that are working for their own people to be sabotaged by this kind of manipulations. A different way or a different method of how to put down an animal compared to the hunting. Hunting, you are being selective, and there are also people that are monitoring you. But you cannot compare carrying and hunting when it's come to elephants. No. You're saying you are carrying the species in the sea, then we understand. Yeah, basically what they want to do is just to see Botswana on their knees and go back and borrow money at IMF. Trophy hunting has been existing for many years, and they have been one of the beneficial of trophy hunting from Botswana since 1980s. They have been benefiting from this trophy hunting. You are living far from the continent, but you have the audacity to tell the people in Africa on how to behave, on how to live with their animals. Oh, for now, don't kill them. Let's allow them to breed. But these animals, they are allowed. They need to be controlled. This is the safest method or way to monitor the populations of elephants. So it's just this is just a total nonsensical behavior of Western world. So this country, they gain independence through the battle of guns. It was not just an easy thing to say, hey, get independence. People, they have to fight for their democracy. The government will continue to maintain the conservations with their money that are getting from the raw material. Thank you so much for watching. If you have watched up to this far, consider yourself subscribing to the channel, like the video, share the video to your loved one, and leave your comment down below so that we can continue with the conversation in the comment section. See you on my next one. Bye-bye and bye.